As China, you're probably laughing out loud at this point. America's asked China to help force the Strait of Hormuz open by potentially fighting Iran. That's going to make you, you're having noodles, you're going to spit it out and start laughing. Trump says he says, I'm quoting him here, if there's no response or if it's a negative response, I think it will be very bad for the future of NATO.
What a surprise. Let me remind you something. So you remember the relationship between these two countries. I know they could be allies, but their relationship has a bit of toxicity in it. Yeah, it started with tariff wars, and the justification for that was that China was taking advantage of the United States. So by sending China, let me say, not sending, commanding China to send its ship into the Strait of Hormuz, is it that now you want to do the same? You also want to take advantage of China? Like, what's happening here? So if this caught you by surprise and you had something to say about it, I compiled thoughts from different creators from TikTok who also had something to say about this. Wow. Like the video for recommendation, subscribe if you're new here, and let's dive into this compilation.
Apparently, he's delaying the meeting with China.
Excuse me? China hasn't even sent a formal invitation yet, okay? Who the hell is welcoming you?
He's delaying or China's delaying?
Yeah, so my first thinking was like, maybe it's China delaying.
Yeah.
The Trump administration has a familiar negotiating technique: raise the stakes before talks even begin. Well, recently, President Trump hinted that he might delay a summit with President Xi Jinping unless China helps secure the Strait of Hormuz, which is a narrow choke point that handles about 20% of the world oil supply. And he's reasoning that China depends heavily on Middle East oil. Well, this is not China's war. Why would it send ships there to join the US and its ally in confronting Iran? Well, China engages with the US to help stabilize global trade, not to leverage it into escalating conflict in an already chaotic world. Plus, China hasn't fought a major war in nearly half a century, and there's no indication the country will risk involvement in operations so dangerous that even US allies are hesitated. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has framed China as a pillar of stability. He said that imagine if China, like some traditional powers, were keen on carving out spheres of influence in its surrounding regions. Would the situation in Asia still be as stable as it is today? Well, in the end, China's position is consistent. It seeks stability, not confrontation. And if Trump's brinkmanship delays the summit, it will be his own making, not a result of China's maneuvering.
Why won't these countries help us win this war with Iran? We're just asking you to send a ship. We're just asking them to send a couple ships. That's it. Just send us a couple ships so we can get the oil through the Strait of Hormuz.
We have capabilities that no other nation on earth has. The mullahs are desperate and scrambling. If Iran does anything to stop the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder.
3 days later.
They want to negotiate badly, as they should. But I don't think they're ready to do what they have to do. But I think they will be ready at some point. But we're doing very well with respect to that whole situation in Iran. We are talking to other countries about working with us on the policing of the strait. And I think we're getting good response. If we do, that's great. And if we don't, that's great too. But remember, like as an example, in many cases, they're NATO countries. We're always there for NATO. We're helping them with Ukraine. As many, it's got an ocean in between us. Doesn't affect us, but we've helped them. It'd be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor, which is just keeping the strait open. And by comparison, it's small because Iran has very little firepower left.
Trump urges UK other nations to send warships to Strait of Hormuz. Trump urges other countries to send warships to secure the Strait of Hormuz. They talked all of that shit only for them to now turn around and are now guilt-shaming other countries into sending warships. Well, Doesn't look like Iran is anytime trying to. You know what? Let's see what Iran has to say about this.
این که ما میگوییم آتش بس نمیخواهیم نه به این دلیل که دنبال جنگ هستیم، به این دلیل که این بار این جنگ باید به شکلی تمام بشود که دشمنان ما دیگر هرگز به فکر تکرار این حملات و این تجاوز نیفتند. و من فکر میکنم تا همین الان هم درس خوبی فرا گرفتند. فهمیدند که با چه ملتی طرف هستند که در دفاع از خودش هیچ تردیدی نمیکنه و آمادگی داره که جنگ رو تا هر کجا که هست ادامه بده و به هر کجا که هست بکشه.
In other words, the only way we're ending this war is on our terms. That everyone has to suffer. That way, the next time someone says, let's go fuck up Iran, everybody be like, no. We remember what happened last time.
So I just want to make sure I have this right. The United States and Israel partner up and start bombing the shit out of Iran unprovoked, which in turn kicks off an entire war because Iran starts bombing back. They're not just going to sit there and take it. In response, Iran also closes down the Strait of Hormuz to Israeli and United States ships, which is a big deal because 20% of the globe's oil passes through that narrow strait of waterway. And now Trump is publicly begging other powerful nations to help the United States with the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, including China, France, the United Kingdom, South Korea, just to name a few. And I know he's listed many others. So it cannot get more clear to me that the United States is getting smoked in this war and that Trump is legitimately starting to panic. Brother is on his hands and knees publicly begging for other countries to get involved and help the United States with safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz and to help open it up. Nobody's gonna help you, dude. You started this shit. You started this shit. The United States and Israel are the only ones that wanted this to happen. No other countries are going to get fucking dragged into this. And if they are, they're going to be defending Iran, who is just defending their homeland and using the land and geography around them to their advantage. Masterful gambit, sir.
The absolute audacity of Donald Jessica Trump to dog China out, disrespect China, slap punitive illegal tariffs on Chinese goods, and then turn around and say, oh, well, we help China send some warships to the Persian Gulf. Like, first of all, bitch, China's not fucking sending warships for anybody. China will never be fighting anyone else's war for them. They might maybe send their warships to, like, protect their own trade, but that's even, like, a little aggressive for their taste. It's not really their style. And the only time they're, like, engaging their fucking navy is because another country, like, did a very credible threat and or, like, actually attacked or fired on them. That's the only time they're gonna fucking engage militarily, so forget it. Second of all, if they were going to send warships, it would not be to your bitch ass. It would not be in support of the Epstein pedophile class, okay? It would not be to you. Trump is actually so fucking delusional because the Strait of Hormuz is not even closed to Chinese ships, and I believe they said they're going to allow ships that are where the oil has been paid for in Chinese yuan. They're gonna let those ships through too. So, like, really what Iran is doing is pretty fucking brilliant. They are kind of putting sanctions on the U.S. via rejecting the petrodollar. So this is very exciting. This is why, by the way, China's leaders try to make as many friends and as few enemies as possible, because when there is geopolitical conflict or disasters, it's good to have as many countries on your side as possible. So Trump's bitch ass has just been burning bridges all over the globe for his entire term, and now he's begging for warships that nobody's gonna fucking send, and God, is it beautiful to see this shit.
China is probably thrilled that we are on the verge of getting into another quagmire in the Middle East.
Most of their energy is not generated through oil. And so I think they would really, if they had to give all of the Middle Eastern oil up to suck us in to another forever war with Iran that would go on for years and years, oh my goodness gracious.
China's economy is about to get supercharged if the war continues. The Strait of Hormuz accounts for 95% of Japan's oil and roughly 60% of Southeast Asia's imported energy. If that artery is choked off for everyone else but remains open for China, then the entire balance of Asian manufacturing starts to shift. Because manufacturing is not just about wages, it is about energy that keeps the factories running. China has already invested massively in renewables, and with its tankers still able to pass the strait, which maintains its oil supply, the Chinese industry does not only survive, it becomes even more competitive. If the situation lasts for another 60 days, bosses in light manufacturing across Asia will asking a brutal question. Why stay in Vietnam, Thailand, or Malaysia if the energy is unstable and only China can produce at a scale? Even Japan and South Korea will be deepening their investment in China because they have no choice but to access the one industrial base in Asia still operating with relative stability. By the end of 2026, that could push China's share of global manufacturing to around 40% and maybe towards a quarter of global trade. That is indeed manna from heaven.
China doesn't have any allies, but China is friends with any country that's willing to be friends with China. So China is actually friends with Iran, also friends with Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Jordan, all the countries that Iran is bombing right now are friends with China too. So who's China gonna help? All friends. Nobody should be fighting. That's the bottom line. And everybody can be just concentrated on making your country's people's life better. That's why building infrastructure. China has Belt and Road Initiative with all these countries. So China was trying to bring everybody up, friends with everybody, but not necessarily military allies with anybody.
Let me show you something. Look at the train system in China, everybody. These are all trains standing by. Even on this side, these are bullet trains, the fastest trains in China. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and go on, guys. While the world is at war and China is growing and developing itself, the world gotta learn from China, guys.
I don't want us to go to fucking war. I want free healthcare. I'm sick of the government spending money on stupid shit that has nothing to fucking do with me. What the
Apparently, you can't have both. Yeah, you need to choose one. And right now, war is the priority. So, yeah, let's see how it goes. Yeah, because, we are liberating countries first.